Barely a day after the latest round of indirect nuclear talks between Iran and the U.S.
This is a developing and highly sensitive international situation. Explosions have rocked multiple cities across Iran, including the capital, Tehran, following a major announcement from President Donald Trump confirming coordinated military strikes conducted jointly by the United States and Israel.
To the great, proud people of Iran, I say tonight that the hour of your freedom is at hand. Stay sheltered. Don't leave your home. It's very dangerous outside. Bombs will be dropping everywhere.
Videos emerging from Tehran show thick smoke rising over parts of the city. Reports indicate that several strategic locations were targeted. At this time, officials describe the operation as part of a broader effort to address what they call imminent security threats. The situation quickly escalated beyond Iran's borders. Explosions were also reported in Gulf nations that host American military bases, including Abu Dhabi, Bahrain, and Qatar. Authorities in Qatar confirmed that 2 missiles were intercepted over their territory. In Bahrain, officials reported that a missile struck near a service facility connected to the U.S. Navy's Fifth Fleet. Fortunately, early reports suggest interception systems prevented wider damage, though assessments are still ongoing. These military developments occurred just one day after indirect nuclear discussions between the United States and Iran. Diplomatic channels have been active in recent weeks, with officials attempting to find common ground over nuclear enrichment limits and regional security concerns. However, those negotiations appear to have broken down. According to sources familiar with the situation, U.S. military planning anticipates that operations may continue for several days. Israeli leadership has indicated similar expectations. President Trump, speaking from Florida, stated that the objective of the strikes was to defend American interests and reduce perceived threats posed by Iran's military and nuclear capabilities. In a recorded message, he emphasized that the operation is intended to protect American troops, allies, and overseas bases. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu echoed similar sentiments, describing the strikes as necessary for national security. Meanwhile, Iran state media reported that dozens of ballistic missiles were launched toward Israel in retaliation. Across Israel, sirens sounded in cities including Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, sending millions of residents into bomb shelters as air defense systems activated. Israel's missile defense network, commonly known as the Iron Dome, reportedly intercepted several incoming projectiles. At this stage, there are no confirmed reports of large-scale damage inside Israel, though authorities remain on high alert. The broader region is now facing heightened tensions. For weeks, the United States had been reinforcing its military presence in the Middle East. Aircraft carriers, fighter squadrons, and additional defensive assets were positioned strategically across the region. Officials described this buildup as precautionary, aimed at deterrence while diplomatic efforts continued. However, following stalled negotiations in Geneva, where American representatives sought stronger commitments from Iran regarding uranium enrichment and nuclear transparency, the diplomatic track appears to have been replaced by direct military action. In his remarks, President Trump stated that the objective is to eliminate imminent threats and safeguard American lives. He also acknowledged the risks involved, noting that any extended military engagement carries potential dangers for U.S. personnel stationed abroad. This marks one of the most significant military actions undertaken during his presidency and potentially the largest coordinated U.S. Israeli operation in recent years. Inside the United States, reaction has been mixed. Some lawmakers have expressed support, arguing that firm action was necessary to address long-standing security concerns. Others have raised questions about the scope and duration of the operation, emphasizing the need for clarity regarding long-term objectives. There are also broader geopolitical implications. Iran plays a central role in regional dynamics, maintaining influence through alliances and partnerships across the Middle East. Any prolonged confrontation risks drawing in additional actors, potentially widening the conflict zone. Energy markets have responded with volatility, as the Gulf region is vital to global oil supply chains. Analysts are closely monitoring shipping lanes, particularly the Strait of Hormuz, through which a significant portion of the world's oil exports passes. International leaders are urging restraint. Several European governments have called for de-escalation and renewed diplomatic engagement. The United Nations has also expressed concern about the potential humanitarian consequences if hostilities continue. Security experts note that while air defense systems on all sides have reduced the immediate damage from missile exchanges, sustained military activity increases the probability of unintended escalation. Another key question remains: what comes next? U.S. officials have indicated that operations are ongoing and dependent on developments on the ground. However, there is limited public clarity about what a successful outcome would look like beyond the stated objective of neutralizing threats. In Iran, the strikes have sparked widespread alarm. Civilians in major cities are being advised to remain indoors as authorities assess damage and prepare defensive responses. In Israel, daily life has been significantly disrupted, with schools closed in several regions and public gatherings restricted as a precaution. Meanwhile, Gulf nations hosting U.S. bases have increased security measures around key infrastructure. Interception systems remain active, and regional militaries are coordinating closely with American forces. The coming days will likely determine whether this remains a limited military exchange or evolves into a broader confrontation. Historically, direct military clashes between the United States and Iran have been limited and carefully contained. However, the scale of these coordinated strikes introduces new uncertainty. Diplomatic observers point out that while military actions can alter strategic calculations, they also complicate future negotiations. Rebuilding trust after such escalation can be challenging. At the same time, supporters of the operation argue that deterrence sometimes requires decisive action, particularly when negotiations fail to produce concrete results. For now, the world is watching closely. Global markets, international governments, and millions of civilians across the Middle East are bracing for developments. The balance between deterrence and escalation remains delicate. President Trump has indicated that further updates will be provided as the situation evolves. Israeli leadership has also signaled readiness for continued defensive operations if necessary. Iranian officials, for their part, have vowed to respond proportionally while defending their sovereignty. As military analysts assess satellite imagery, radar data, and field reports, one reality is clear: this moment represents a significant turning point in regional security dynamics. Whether it leads to renewed diplomacy or prolonged confrontation will depend heavily on decisions made in the coming hours and days. For now, authorities across multiple nations are urging civilians to prioritize safety, remain informed through official channels, and avoid spreading unverified information. This remains a fast-moving and developing story. We will continue to monitor updates from all sides and provide verified information as it becomes available. Stay with us for continuing coverage.